Hello guys, it's been a crazy week so far, but today we're going to be talking about PvP Proxy 2-gate, mainly because it just happened to me on ladder and I thought I executed the sickest hold. I think it's the best I've ever done against it. It was really cool. What else has been going on this week? Lots of programming. Oh yeah, and got matched up against Apollo, as you can see, in 2v2, and we actually did pretty well. I managed to force seal Apollo's main and get the Immortals Killer's lair, and that was quite cool. But in the end, they did just have too many roaches and a little too much bio, so grats to Apollo, even though I called the replay Apollo Scrub. Their map awareness wasn't that good. Just that game, though. I've got nothing against Apollo. He's a cool guy. He's British as well, so yeah. Awesome. Anyway, let's get into the game. And Protoss vs Protoss, Habitation Station, watch solo. Now, I'm going to assume you're a Bronze to Gold League player. If you're higher than that, it is okay, but you probably already know all of this. However, I'm going to give you a quick rule now. In PvP, I want you, on 13 supply, after placing a gateway, to send your probe around your main base. You see? Follow this exact path, down to your natural, and check there. From there, you can send it to your opponent's base if you want, which I normally do a bit later, but you can just send it back to mining if you don't spot anything. It's up to you. So, we're talking about the Proxy 2-gate, and the first thing you need to know is, how close is the Proxy 2-gate going to be? And first of all, is it? So, the scout we just mentioned would spot it if it was in your main. This is actually quite a popular place to do it on Habitation. And we would also spot it in our natural. Now, the good thing is if you spot it with a 13 probe scout, all you do is kind of lower your probe production, get a second gateway, and make as the same number of zealots as he does, and build your cybernetics core anyway, so you'll have more workers, you'll be able to fight in the mineral line with zealots and probes, and you'll have a cyber core, so you'll just be ahead. So that's quite a cool thing. Now he, on the other hand, is going to place his proxy this far away. Now I've got a rule that if a Proxy 2-gate is further away than my natural, I think you can hold it without scouting it. That's my rule, that's the way I go off, so I don't scout any further than that. But, if we just zoom ahead, we'll see this guy kind of got a bit talkative, and I think I've played it before based on what happens later. He starts asking a lot of questions, and very few players do this on ladder, and most of them do cheese. So here, we see my probe scouting. I'm checking all these places. I didn't actually scout there, that's a bit of a mistake by me. But I mean, just judging by the layout, it's unlikely it would be there. But because he's talking to me, I am going to send the probe out. Now that doesn't matter too much, because these gateways are a long way away. The probe's still there hiding, he doesn't want to give away anything. But I pretty much already know, I'm very sure, so I just send the probe across to scout. So the question is, what should you do upon scouting it? If you scouted it on 13 and it was here, or was here, you absolutely have to add on a second gateway, or get a forge. Now, I personally prefer the second gateway approach, even though it can delay your cyber core a bit, but you still have so many more workers, it doesn't matter, and you can just crush his army, kill the proxy, and you'll win the game anyway. So that's one approach you can take. We're just going to times 2 it. I was actually doing quite an awkward build, because I skipped the zealot initially. I don't make my zealot, which is bad against Proxy 2-gate. If you don't scout Proxy 2-gate and you skip the zealot, you're usually dead. And also, I've taken double gas, so that means I've got a lot of probes mining this gas, 4 in total, not 6, but I did have to spend the 75 minerals on an assimilator as well, and all this makes it just a little bit harder to get the minerals to hold off the attack, so you just need to be aware of these things. Now, my probe gets here and scouts no gas, so at this point I go, oh crap. Now, obviously I can't build a second gateway now, I just don't have the time. My 100 minerals must go into zealots. It just absolutely has to, because I've not scouted this, and an unscouted Proxy 2-gate is really scary, and this is too late. 3 minutes, I can't react to it, so I have to do my normal build and do the second best thing, which is chrono boost a zealot out, fight as efficiently as I can in my mineral line, and rush to a mothership core. Notice I'm basically cutting probes. I need those minerals banked. I need to have everything going. So we've got my zealot out. I'm scared he's just trying to trick me again. And we're going to see some pretty epic micro actually. So 3 zealots come to the mineral line. You have to keep your probes alive. Don't just let them all die. Run away. Buy time. See, I'm buying time for a second zealot. The thing is, you've got to know how much time to buy, okay? If I start running around for more than 2 minutes, there's going to be 10 enemy zealots in my base. Remember, I've got 1 gateway. He's got 2. he will always have more units than me. So you've got to kind of balance running the probes around to keep them alive versus engaging to make sure the zealot count doesn't snowball. It's kind of like if you're playing PvP and you both open 3 stalkers, if one of you loses, say, 2 stalkers without killing anything, it just snowballs, because then you both make 2 snowballs and 2 more stalkers, so he's got 5 and then you've only got 3, and it just gets out of control. So you have to keep the zealot count low. So I'm buying time, but I know I can't run around much longer, so as soon as I get 2 zealots and I've got the mothership core, I take the fight. Now it's quite hard to see because the mothership's in the way there. I don't micro my zealots as best as I could, but look, I pull probes at a side. Okay, my zealots need a hand. That was actually really poor zealot micro by me. I normally do better than that. But anyway, the mothership core is there helping out. And notice I'm just trying to keep the probes alive, constantly pulling probes. It doesn't matter if you're not mining for some of this. Your mothership core will fight. It will eventually have the overcharge. You just need to keep those probes alive. And look, 2 of those zealots are already dead. If we take a look at the worker count, I'm still ahead, but only just barely, so I'm almost at the point of no return. But considering I skipped my zealot essentially, or I was going to be skipping my zealot, and I didn't scout it, this is like the worst situation, but I still managed to hold. It does get very, very close, admittedly, but once you've got a stalker out, you can pretty much micro, but you've got to be careful. You've got to micro both groups. You can't just have probes sitting still. You've got to have them constantly running. You've got to be microing your heart out, and I was actually really proud with the way this game went. I thought that was really cool. And once you're in this position, once you actually hold the cheese, and I basically have now, I just need to kill 2 zealots, and they're both going to go down. And Photon Overcharge is cast. That was a bit unnecessary, actually. I didn't really need it then. I should have saved it. Now you have to count how many workers do I have, because there's a good chance he's built a cyber core and getting gas behind this, and that is exactly what our opponent is doing. I'm still 1 worker ahead, but remember, he still has the production edge, so you have to be careful. Now, we do have that mothership. I really shouldn't have used Photon Overcharge there. That was bad of me, and I should really be chasing this down. There's almost no reason not to. Can you leave, please? Yeah, I'm convinced this guy, I'm pretty sure I've ran into him before, cheeses, and when it doesn't work, he goes on a long kind of pleading for you to leave the game thing. I'm like, no, mate, I just did an epic hold. I don't want to leave the game. Ooh, idle probe. Also, I did have a probe over here, and that was to build a pylon to warp in counter zealots, but when you're defending cheese, all your units have to be at home. You have to have the units at home. That is just so critical. You can't send off a cheeky zealot and hope you'll win, because you'll just lose at home. You'll not have the units you need. So, once you've held, what happens is you have more tech, so you will initially have more stalkers. He might catch up if he's going double gateway like this guy did. Me, on the other hand, I was focusing on getting my economy going again. We don't need to watch the end of this game, although I will show you something that was really cool. Another key thing is knowing when to pull probes. I'm just going to ×2 this. I'm looking for the proxy. It's kind of in an unusual location. And there we go. He's got a lot of stalkers. 3 stalkers to 3 stalkers, but he has the zealot, and one of my stalkers is on low health. That's something you've got to consider when you've got even units, the health of the units. So that stalker is very low. So when he comes up the ramp, I know I can't fight that. I've got to run away. I've got to run away. And I thought this was brilliant. If that core went down, I'm in a lot of trouble. Look at the energy, 98, health 30, 99, health 17. But I pulled the probes, and that is the perfect time to pull probes. Photon Overcharge goes down, and I crush this attack. Now, normally, oh my god, so lucky, he's about to say. That Photon Overcharge did not actually win me the game. With probes pulled, I would have surrounded that army and killed it anyway, even without Photon Overcharge. It definitely helped, but just don't underestimate probes. When there's only stalkers, and you've got some stalkers but he's got a slight edge, pull the probes, it is so good. So anyway, just to quickly recap, if you scout the proxy gate in your base, react to it however you've practiced, either build a second gateway and chrono zealots, or build the forge, either works. If you see it as late as I did, you end up having to keep your probes alive. You've got to balance between keeping the probes alive and engaging with them just to try and keep the zealot count manageable, because if you don't engage with them for too long, there'll be too many zealots, you'll get overrun. Or also, placing pylons in places like this, like you see this pylon, this was my first, I believe, and your gateway there, it makes it so much harder for the zealots, the enemy zealots, to snipe your pylons if they're in defensive locations like this. On Habitation Station you unfortunately can't, but on a lot of maps there's a nice position between the first gas where you can actually put a pylon, there's a 2 hex gap, and then you put the gateway behind it and it completely blocks it off. It's just like the best situation against a Proxy 2 gate you can imagine. Anyway guys, hopefully this has been useful to you. I might just quickly zoom through the game. Let's see if the recording software can handle this, and the CPU. Please leave. Another fight happens. I warp in zealots at my proxy finally. Sorry, I deserve it for holding this. I did deserve this, but this was stupid. I didn't go and clear out the proxy. I went across the map, killed all the probes. He came in at my main. Probes run away. Please, please, please. I actually got really confused. I was so microing, and you need to pay attention for this. Has not rebuilt their base and has been revealed. I didn't see that, so I ended up looking all over the map for this hidden base that wasn't there. So just remember, guys, you've got to stay calm. Even when there's, say, 4 zealots and you've only got 1, you can still win. You just need to buy time for your second zealot to get out. Try and get a mothership core if you can. The alternative, if you don't want to go for the mothership core approach, is you keep building probes. So even if you lose a few, you're going to be ahead, and you can still use your probes to fight. So if you take the 2 gateway approach, often you won't have the mothership core for this. That's when you just chrono zealots, chrono probes, so you have a stronger economy, and eventually you'll match him on zealot count and you just win. And that's my favourite way to deal with it. But because this one was so far away, it didn't matter. I could hold it doing my normal build, but it was close. So basically, if the cheese isn't in your natural or in your main, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You don't need to get really paranoid, but if you do scout it, you do want to start chrono boosting zealots. So bottom line, if you're a beginner player, scout on 13, that 13 probe. Scout all around your base, all around the natural, and then if you want, go to your opponent's main. But if you see nothing in your main or the natural, you should be able to hold the cheese with just normal units, especially if you don't skip the zealot. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoy that game, and I'll see you next time. See ya.